Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of The Gaggle, Peter Lavelle. So, Peter, we've spoken a few times about the big mystery, the puzzle that has no solution, and that's the explosions on the Nord Stream gas pipelines. If you recall, when this happened, September the 26th. There was a flurry of accusations pointing the finger at Russia. There was John Brennan, and then Jennifer Granholm, the U.S. Energy Secretary, accused Russia. And, of course, Adam Schiff. They all pointed fingers at Russia. And then after that flurry, there was silence. Nothing. Boom. We didn't hear anything about anything. Which was
we did have some investigations. The Danes, I think,
right.
They made it very clear that they weren't going to share their investigation results with Russia.
That's right.
The owner of the pipeline.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. And that's it. The investigations have kind of continued in at a nice, pleasant pace without any conclusions, apparently. We kind of, using our logic, we think, well, if there were any evidence, even that you could even vaguely say, hey, this points towards Russian guilt, we would have heard about it. I mean, the media would have been trumpeting any evidence. New York Times would be running stories about, intelligence officials tell us anonymously that they overheard conversations in which Putin personally ordered the destruction of the pipelines. We've had nothing. So in recent days, we had a long article in the Washington Post which quoted European officials anonymously who said that maybe Russia wasn't responsible for the explosions. And then, not to be outdone, the New York Times has a long article which again does the routine of we don't know who did it, but maybe the Russians did do it. We don't know. So I just want to show you this article. It's interminable, as in so we don't have to go through it all. But what's interesting is how they they go through this routine
mystery.
The twists and turns to show that somehow, or maybe Russians were responsible. So in Nord Stream mystery, Baltic seabed provides a nearly ideal crime scene. Who'd have thunk? As investigators piece together clues, Russia has quietly taken steps to begin expensive repairs on the giant gas pipeline, complicating theories about who was behind September's sabotage.
That's right. They blew it up so they could rebuild it. That's right.
That's right. No, that's a great idea. And says the Nord Stream attack has been a wartime mystery, prompting finger pointing and speculation about how, in an era of constant satellite surveillance, in the midst of an energy crisis and with Europe on alert because of the war in Ukraine, a vessel could creep up on a crucial energy conduit, plant a bomb, and leave without a trace. Yeah, that's a puzzle. And as
so they told us how it was done. Great. Okay. Not much of a mystery there.
That's right. The Baltic Sea, it turns out, was a nearly ideal crime scene. Its floor is latticed with telecommunication cables and pipes that, as had been warned, are not closely monitored. Ships come and go constantly from 9 countries bordering the sea, and vessels can easily hide by turning off their tracking transponders. And then the Baltic Sea is also a giant graveyard for unexploded munitions and chemical weapons dumped after the world wars. Expeditions to clear those obstacles are common, meaning the expertise to carry out underwater detonation is ubiquitous. Several countries along the Baltic, including Russia, have dive teams that specialize in seabed operations. Russia, with a port along the Baltic, has small, quiet submarines that can move undetected, according to former military officials. So
The only country in the Baltic Sea can do that. I think other countries can do the same, George.
but yeah,
That's interesting that they point out to Russia has that capacity, but
right.
no one else. No, see that's again another omission. It's omission.
Right, that's right. Yeah. And then said, after the blast, Poland and Ukraine openly blamed Russia, but provided no evidence. Well, when I have to say, Poland and Ukraine blame Russia, as did U.S. officials, which they don't want to mention, and they also don't mention anywhere in this article Radek Sikorsky's tweet. Remember the tweet in which he said, "Thank you, USA." So, yes, maybe some officials blame Russia, but there are other Polish officials who were saying, "Thank you, USA."
I think he took it down later.
He did take it down, yes, but that was, I mean, I was a little bit embarrassing. And then Sweden's top counterintelligence official declined to speculate on the perpetrator, but he placed the Nord Stream attack squarely in the context of increasingly brazen Russian espionage.
What? Okay. All right. Let's just instantly mix apples with oranges. Let's just go right ahead, George. Okay?
Exactly. So
changing the subject. Just change
espionage. Exactly. Brazen espionage. What has that got? Yeah. What has that got to do with terrorism?
This is the paper of record, everyone.
That's it. Exactly. Russia, for its part, has blamed Britain, also without evidence. They did provide some evidence. I mean, it may not be conclusive, but they did provide some evidence about what was the name of that prime minister?
Truss.
Liz Truss, exactly. Yes, Liz Truss. Who was there for 10 minutes.
So forgettable. Yes, it's okay.
Yes. Russia has a history of using energy to exert influence and has an interest in fracturing alliances within Europe. But the theory that Russia carried out the blasts, repeated often by Western officials, has only gotten more complicated. So theory becoming very complicated. That's not a good sign. But
yeah, considering their lack of transparency of their findings.
Yes. So then says. And then it says, about the recent weeks, Nord Stream, which is majority owned by Kremlin-controlled companies, begun pricing out the cost to repair the pipe and restore gas flows. One repair estimate starts at about $500 million. Consultants for Russia are also studying how long the damaged pipes can withstand saltwater exposure. The inquiries raised the question of why, if Russia bombed its own pipelines, it would begin the expensive work of repairing them. Well, that is a very good question. But the other question, of course, is why Russia would rebuild pipelines, given that somebody is determined to destroy them, and we don't know who did it. So supposedly, therefore, the perpetrator could strike again, and that would be $500 million down the drain.
That's been my theory of the case. Until this is unequivocally exposed.
Yeah.
There's no reason to rebuild it.
No, none at all. Not at all. And there's no indication here that they are planning. I mean, they just say they're making an estimate of the repairs, but I mean that doesn't mean that they are about to repair it. But like any good mystery story, the sabotage has layers of intrigue and multiple players with degrees of motive and ability. Even the decision by the Swedish government to keep the details of its inquiry secret from Western allies has prompted whispered speculation that perhaps investigators have cracked the case and are strategically keeping quiet.
Well, why would they? What does that mean? Strategically keeping quiet? Did the U.S. did it?
Well, yeah, I mean,
or Britain did it. Okay.
Well, one thing we know, given that if they had anything to point to Russia, they wouldn't be strategically keeping quiet. I mean, they would be blasting it from the rooftops. So if they're keeping quiet, that means it's something that they want to keep quiet about, and therefore, that's that puzzle solved. But sabotaging a key piece of energy infrastructure could be considered an act of war. For a European Union or a NATO member to carry it out would have significant consequences, shattering trust in two of the most important Western partnerships.
Okay.
And while attacking the pipeline,
if you say so, if you say so.
Exactly. And while attacking the pipeline may have made financial sense for Ukraine, particularly in time of war, its capability to pull off such a feat is unclear. Well, yes, and no one has actually said Ukraine did it. That's not the key suspect. So I don't think Ukraine did it. Well, no one's accused.
Except for the moron writing this article. Yes. Okay. I find this interesting too. Is that it says here?
You want to go back?
Sorry. Mm-hmm. Okay. And while attacking the pipeline may have been made financial sense for Ukraine, I'm not sure what that is, because it was designed to go around Ukraine. Okay.
Well, no, and that's destroying it.
And it was Poland that was cutting off pipelines from Ukraine to Europe. So I'm not sure what he knows or she knows what she's talking about.
Well, I think they're saying that if you get rid of this pipeline, then Russia has no choice but to send its gas across Ukraine. I mean, in other words, Ukraine will collect more transit fees. I mean, the whole point of building that pipeline was to deny Ukraine.
Right. Transit fees and siphoning. Okay. Right. So
yes, exactly.
No, you're absolutely right, George. But the point is here is that they don't want to say the quiet part out loud. It hurts Western Europe. Right. Okay. So right. It didn't make making financial sense for Ukraine is very low. Yes. On the totem pole here.
That's right. Of course. As European countries stockpile natural gas this year, the Kremlin's behavior changed. Russia took Nord Stream 1 offline in late August, blaming mechanical issues. In early September, the Kremlin said the pipeline would be shut indefinitely. The explosions came a few weeks later. And it continues. The explosion does not neatly benefit Russia. You think? I mean, yeah, destroying your own pipeline from which you're earning billions every year does not. Yeah, I mean that doesn't neatly benefit you. It must keep paying transit fees to Ukraine. It cannot easily use the promise of cheap gas to cleave Germany from its European allies, and it faces hefty repair costs.
He's making a case for Russia here.
Yeah, okay. Yes. But the sabotage all but guarantees that gas prices will be uncomfortably high for Europeans until spring, and it creates an incentive for EU countries to push Ukraine to negotiate a quick ending, since the war threatens the land-based pipes that bring gas west. So again, I think, well, and so they're kind of arguing against themselves. And then the fact that one of the Nord Stream 2 pipes remains intact also means that in an energy crunch, Germany could reverse course and allow that pipe to start pumping gas. So when you look at that, then you say, well, who benefits the most from all of this? It's like, the one thing you find nowhere in this article. Well, yeah, so who's benefiting? Well, and what was it Biden said in February the 7th when he told Scholz, we will end Nord Stream. And when asked, how are you going to do that? I mean, it's under German control. Don't worry, we can do it. He said it. There it was. He said so, but that does not feature anywhere in this article.
And as if Germany is in a position at any point of leverage to reverse course. Okay. Yeah. If Sergeant Scholz reversed course, that would be the last day he's Chancellor of Germany.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So, and that's the point, that when Biden said this to Scholz, I mean, this was so openly insulting. I mean, Scholz was there standing next to him, and he just said, yeah, we're going to end it. It wasn't like Scholz said, we're going to end it. No, we, the Americans, who had nothing whatever to do with this pipeline, we're going to end it. But you see, here, like the Times and the Washington Post, they sort of realize who's behind this, and then they're kind of going around and around, getting through these convoluted theories, because they can't admit it, that there can only be one perpetrator. I mean, there's only one beneficiary, and it's not Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sloppy. Okay, first their original reaction to it. Oh, who knows who did that? Sikorsky let the cat out of the bag from the get-go, yes, obviously, and he is very much in the orbit of the foreign policy establishment in the United States. So he would be in the know. And going through and saying, well, what about this idea? No. The simplest solution is almost always the answer. It's simple. Okay.
Exactly.
And George already categorized it for us. Who benefited from this? Exactly. The U.S. did.
Yeah, exactly. When a rich man dies a violent death, who's the chief suspect? Well, the beneficiary. The wife. She stands to inherit all. She has to be the chief suspect. So that's it. As you said, the simplest solution is like it to be the right solution. That's the Occam's razor theory. So basically, yeah, it's the simplest solution is the right one. So in this case, all this convoluted theory, how does it, you still can't explain how Russia can possibly benefit by destroying its own pipeline from which it's making money. I mean, that makes no sense.
And top of it, George, I mean, irrespective of this ridiculous, not Russia uses energy as a political weapon. No, whoever blew up the pipelines is playing politics. Okay, right. It wasn't Russia. Yeah. Look, everyone, if you look at Europe's post-war World War II prosperity, why? How did it come about? Well, the ingenuity of the people of Europe. Yes, okay, that's there, but it was cheap, reliable Soviet/Russian energy. That's what it was, and the Americans always hated the fact that Russia possibly could have that leverage, okay? But that argument never made any sense, right? Because Russia, it's a two-way deal. Russia makes money from selling gas at a cheap price, and right, Europe gets it as a reliable source. Right. It was a perfect deal, and the Americans never liked that, never liked it, ever. And they were the strongest against Nord Stream. They were the strongest consistently. And Russia is not the one that, it's not the one denying Europe energy. Europe is doing everything it's possible to cut itself off from Russian energy.
All right, that's right.
And Russia that's blackmailing them. There's not one shred of evidence Russia has used this as leverage against Europe. As a matter of fact, they're still selling it through Ukraine, for God's sake, to this day.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. And of course, it was the Germans who wanted Nord Stream built. This was a nice, cheap, reliable source of energy. And it goes around Ukraine because, Ukraine was siphoning off gas. It wasn't paying its bills. And, that's why they came up with this, hey, this is a neat idea. We can go around Ukraine, do it on the sea, and we'll have a nice, reliable source of energy. It made sense. The Americans were absolutely livid about this. Much as they were livid about the gas pipeline deals in the Reagan era, this is a consistent theme in the United States. And when the president of the United States openly issues a threat, we will end it. I mean, you kind of, it doesn't take a genius to put the pieces together and say, yeah, who did it? And the Times and the Post know this. So they're just coming up with some, ways of saying, well, it's a real mystery. That's a puzzle for the ages. And then they want to bury the story. And then after it'll be buried. Okay, it's a puzzle. No one knows who did it.
No, the mystery is why you keep lying about it. Okay, right. That's what I want to know. Why do you keep lying about it?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and plus, whoever did this I strongly believe it was Anglo-Saxon world. That's my opinion. Okay, I wasn't there, obviously, but what they want a permanent solution. They want Europe to be reliant on other sources of energy, not on Russia. They want it to be on LNG from the United States, very expensive. And since we're here, George, everyone talking about, well, Europe make it through the winter. Yeah, it will. It will. It's next winter that's going to be the problem. Okay, because every spring, as the storage goes down because of the ending winter, you start building up your storage for the next winter. They don't. They had that prior to the start of the conflict in Ukraine. Now they're not going to have it. Next year, if it's a hot summer, good luck. If it's a really cold winter, good luck. Because this is whoever did this wants a long. It's not, just to spite the Russians. No, they want a long-term solution. They want Europe to reorient itself to energy suppliers that are compliant with the United States, or if not the United States itself.
Right. No, I think that's exactly right, and that's the American goal. American goal is, and Trump was very explicit about this. They want to, eliminate Europe as any kind of an economic rival to the United States, and that's a long-term goal. I mean, this has been an American goal really since the 1960s. That they did not want Europe as any sort of an economic rival, and they're well on the way to getting this. When Macron exactly. Macron may complain, but we are paying 4 times more for liquefied natural gas than the Americans. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. But you are destroying our industries with what that's kind of what we're doing. So I mean, that's the plan. And
the plan is BMW, made in America.
Exactly. Exactly. So all these great industries of yours that provide, very good employment, they're going to be moving over here. That's kind of what we've always been planning. So,
well, George, it's kind of a pet peeve for George and I don't want to go too much into the weeds here, but with this threat to the deindustrialization of Europe at the behest of the Americans, because they don't want the competition, is that you keep hearing in conservative circles that they're trying to make America like Europe. Okay, you know who I'm talking about. Okay, but it's the reverse. George just said it. When you think of a person working at BMW, they make good money and they got good benefits. Okay. Across the board. But when you start seeing this deindustrialization, that falls apart. The benefits fall apart. There's no long-term security. This is the erosion of the social fabric of Europe. But conservatives keep saying they want us to become like Europe. No, Europe is becoming like the United States. And
yes, no, that's exactly right. Because both France and Germany made a very concerted effort to keep their auto industry. They were determined to have a domestic auto industry, Citroën and Peugeot in France, BMW, Porsche, and everything else in Germany. They made a huge effort, Volkswagen and everything. I mean, that was a big effort on their part, that they weren't going to be wiped out by the Americans. They weren't going to be wiped out by the Japanese. So there was a lot of government effort. Well, looks like that may happen now. They may well find themselves, these industries, wiped out, because I don't know how they can go on subsidizing industries that can't pay their way.
Well, and it also adds something that I've been talking about all year long, is that it's a Pyrrhic victory for the U.S. because the U.S. wants these European markets to be consumers. But if you deindustrialize, the consumers that you're eyeing, they're going to be a lot poorer, okay? And their disposable income will be much, much less. So it's a fool's errand, because if you sure, you can have economic rivals, that can be healthy, okay? It can be healthy. But if you go to the point where you shoot them in the knees, energy, then the prize is it's like a 13th place pink ribbon. Okay.
Right. No, that's right. But I think I think the American view is they would like to reduce Europe not to an industrial rival, but essentially a kind of a big tourist theme park. So that that Americans then can come and visit, African Asians, and they can see all the wonderful things in Europe, the palatial homes, the castles, and the theme parks and everything else. But it just won't have a viable industry. I mean, that in other words, it'll just like turned a lot of places in the world just a tourist resort. Nothing else but a tourist resort.
Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting that the great Russian threat. But if Europe becomes that way, which I think you're absolutely right, then what kind of partner is that for Russia? I mean, that's yesterday. Okay, I mean, who cares? Right. It's just a tiny appendage to the Eurasian landmass that is growing to be irrelevant. Okay, yeah, they have pretty languages, nice cuisines, and you can go to a castle or a chateau. Okay, right. But the people working there will be servants, and they'll be Europeans.
Yes, that's exactly so. Servants, they're there to provide good food, waiters. The vineyards, we have wine tastings at all these great vineyards in Europe, but you're not going to be providing, not going to be building any manufacturing industry. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Europe will cease to be of any real relevance in the world.
And the European elites, they ain't resisting, George. They're not resisting. Okay. No, right. Well, I'm really glad that the paper of record is taking some time to try to understand the great mystery of our age. It's no mystery. If you read the article careful, George went through parts of it here. They argue our case almost every turn.
Exactly.
Who would have thought, George? That they would finally come around to our side when we've been right all along. As a matter of fact, we're right on most things.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
All right, everybody. So it's still a mystery, but it's not a mystery, if you know what I mean. Okay.
Head scratcher. Yes.
A head scratcher. Okay. All right, everybody. This is The Gaggle with Peter and George. We're on Local, so please go to thegaggle.locals.com. Please visit our store. And in less than 24 hours, George will be back doing the live stream.
The live stream on Locals. Come with comments, criticisms, suggestions, and don't forget, on the way out the door, think about little buddy. He doesn't want to become a tourist attraction. He wants to have be a kind of vital going concern. So think about his.
He wants to be robust.
He wants something robust, and he wants above all a robust tip jar. So if you have a few bob in your pocket, whip them out, dunk them in his tip jar. That'll keep him happy for a while. We're very grateful for all of your help and friendship and support. The more of you're able to contribute, the more of these videos we can make, the more we can improve the technology, and above all, the more we can ensure that Buddy stays vigorous and robust. So remember, if you like The Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.